back to Less Lethal Contingencies. Alan here. So today I'm going to continue my testing of the new 4.5 inch 686 MCS barrel and the Reaper suppressor on my IntruBuster Generation 2, brought to you by Mercury Rise. All right, so we're going to continue some testing. We'll be using the same ammunition, the 10 gram AR Tactical Joules, which weigh in at 9.9 grams, and they measure out to a 6.84. Okay, so we'll be shooting 2 magazines of these, and we'll be, for an air supply, we'll be using an AR Tactical 9CI tank with the slide check regulator with a regulated output of 1000 psi. Okay, and we are unloaded right now, and let's see, we have just about 3000 psi capacity in the tank. Okay, pretty much a full tank, since 3000 is our max on this particular tank. And yeah, we'll get some rounds downrange into the target trap. We'll have the cronny set to feet per second, and I'll just be calling out the numbers for those. And yeah, we'll see what we can get. Now, I think I already have pretty good. Well, what we'll do is I'll shoot like 2 or 3, maybe 3. Maybe we'll just shoot 3 rounds first, because I don't want to. This is a small tank, so I don't want to deplete the PSI too much. But I guess what we'll do is we'll shoot 2 or 3 rounds, maybe just 2, so I can get what it's like with just the 4.5 barrel and the Reaper suppressor. And then after those 2, I'll de-air the gun, make it safe to work on, and I'll go ahead and install my 685 7.5 inch barrel extension onto here with the Reaper, and then we'll see what we get from that. Last evening I was able to what's the word I'm looking for? Keep wanting to say bore out, but no, I mean, what is the word I'm looking for? Hone. Thank you guys, thank you for reminding me. Hone out is the word. I did hone out my 8.5 barrel a little bit so that I could slip through 6.85 ammunition. And not that I'm going to need it here, because this ammo's 6.84, but I just wanted to kind of smooth things out. So I picked up a 12 gauge hone for it, and I was able to actually use that in here very easily. With some oil, I was able to hone out the barrel a little bit, smooth things out. Really nice finish in there. And now I'm able to, with ease, get a 6.85 ammunition to go through just fine. So we'll be using this barrel, and we'll be testing and see what we get for feet per second and power for that as well. But before I do that, let me at least get 2 rounds down. We'll air it up, get 2 rounds down into the target trap so that I can capture what it is as it is right now with the 4.5 inch long barrel by MCS and the Reaper by MCS. And then I'll go ahead and do the rest of the ammunition with the extended barrel and the Reaper. Or maybe I'll do the extended barrel first, no Reaper, and then I'll add the Reaper. So we'll do a combination of shots, but I'm going to probably do them pretty early on before my tank capacity depletes too much. So first, let me wake that thing up. All right, let me air up. I do have restriction via a drilled disc that I drilled multiple holes in to prevent auto fire. I actually did modify that disc a little bit more, opened up the holes a little bit more, because I lost between using the tank. Do I have one down here? I don't. The tank extender, which I was using previously to prevent the auto fire, and it was working great. I noticed when I switched from using that to the disc, I did have a reduction in feet per second in joules. I ended up losing about 8 to 9 joules. So I don't want to lose that much power. So I opened up some of the holes in that disc in hopes that maybe I'll strike a happy medium somewhere. And I know I'm going to lose a little bit. Maybe I won't. So we'll see what we get on these numbers. As long as it doesn't, as long as it still corrects the auto fire, because like I was saying before with the slide check tanks, you got that massive rush, that high flow of air going into the marker. Just makes it tough for the bolt spring to be able to reset under those conditions. So adding some restriction has been helping. A lot of guys have been doing that. Sean with Less Lethal for Dummies introduced a couple excellent simple modifications you can do, one of which is the disc, doing a drilled disc. What I opted to go with is drilling multiple holes, like 4 different holes in there, so that I could hopefully increase and get a little bit more flow and not rob myself of a lot of power. So still testing all that, but building upon what Sean's work, I guess you could say, kind of trying to make it work for my marker. So, and this marker is a fussy little animal. So anyways, let's air it up. I still probably have that weird airing thing where you air up, it leaks, you degas or de-air, turn it right back on immediately and it holds. That seems to be native to this, or localized to this slide check as well, slide check tank. I do not get that when I use a regular pin valve tank. But like a lot of you, I'm kind of attached to these slide checks. I'm not ready to give up on them yet. So let's air it up and see if we have to still do that or not. Now that I have a little less restriction, I probably definitely still have to do that. All right, it's unloaded, pointing down range. Wow, okay. And that is why you do it unloaded, folks. Prime example. Thank God I was unloaded. Granted, and I was pointing downrange, but my ears are ringing like a mother right now. Good example. I was not expecting that. I had a similar thing happen. First time I used that 7CI 1100 PSI slide check tank on my X68. And again, I was fortunate that I didn't have it loaded. My ears are ringing. This ear in particular is ringing like crazy. Now, all I did was turn that on, and it just, rush air, no explanations as to why. Now, I did, like I said, I did modify that disc. I drilled the holes, the 4 holes I had in it, out a little wider. That on its own shouldn't have caused the problem, because let's face it, this did add restriction. I mean, I've been using it without this, and so man, my ear's still ringing. Yeah. So real world, man, real world. When I say air up your markers without ammo in them, when I make that recommendation, that's the habit I've been getting into, it's for a good reason. It's for a good reason, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. Do I have a tank? And I just went and took all these regulators apart, and I started putting the slide check regulators on my bigger 13 CI bottle. But I mean, I guess I'm just gonna air it up again and see what happens. Maybe it was just a one-off. I'm hoping it was just a one-off. Did I lose a lot of air? Not really. All right. Oh my goodness, man. My ears finally stopped ringing. All right, I'm gonna, you know what? I tell you what I'm gonna do. Because that just happened, and I really want to get this straightened out here, what I'm gonna do is, I have this twist on and off. That's just gonna put more restriction in there. I don't want to put more restriction in there. All right, I'm gonna assume that this is a one-off. I'm gonna put the disc back in there, and I'm gonna air it up again and see what happens. At least now I'm prepared for it. I mean, if it freaking dry fires again, then Something else is going on. Everything looks fine though. Let's see. All right, so that time it didn't dry fire, but I started getting the air down the mag well. So let me try it again. And sure enough, nice and quiet, holding it to my Bluetooth. Okay, so these slide checks can be problematic on a lot of levels. I know I've grown attached to them because they're convenient. They operate really easy. They're nice, quick on and off, but you know, I don't know. Thinking long term, I may have to look at going back to just tanks with pin valves on them and just live with a different type of on and off. I don't know. I definitely don't like the fact that my ears were ringing. It totally took me by surprise. All right, so let's try this again. Well, let me put my ear plugs in. Holy crap, man. That is just a little unbelievable. Unbelievable. You guys just saw it though. You got to go back a couple months ago when I had that happen to me when I was airing up my Pastelli for the first time, my X68, and thankfully I was very happy that I had a little bit of wisdom that day and didn't have it loaded just like right now. All right, so we're aired up. We wasted a little bit of gas, obviously, not a lot. Aired up, I says about 2,000. All right, so again, I got the 4.5-inch barrel, the Reaper suppressor, and the HD24 short tuning ASA, and 1,000 PSI slide check. We got 6 rounds loaded up in here. I'm only gonna pop off 2 just for the sake of getting some numbers for this video on what it does without adding the extension, barrel extension. So I am just going to, well, I don't need to take them out. I'm going to shoot 2 and I'll call out the feet per second on them. All right, here we go. Mag 1, shot 1, 10 gram ammo. 432.1 feet per second, shot 2. 431.8 feet per second. Okay, so we got 2 rounds to go by. And indeed, I have the 2 that just came out of the breech. So now I got 4 left in there. I am going to turn this off, degas, see what I have left for air. I didn't get any auto fire on those 2, so making those holes a little bit larger in that disc still at this point is proving that it's still capable of causing enough restriction to prevent auto fire. So far anyways, we'll see what happens when I get the longer barrel on there, because that's going to change radically the whole dynamics, you know, having a longer barrel. I have about 1,500 PSI left. I'm going to take the Reaper off. And the next 2 shots I'm going to do are going to be with adding the 7.5-inch barrel extension, okay, without the Reaper. So we're going to try to do a couple things in this test, in this video. All right, so I have the 7.5-inch long 685 barrel that I honed out, and now I'm able to run 685 ammo down it. So in all intents and purposes, I probably honed it out to about a 686 or so. I'm going to add that. I'm going to shoot the same ammo, 10 grams, 684 ammo. Okay, and we're going to take 2 rounds and see what I get with the extended barrel. So now basically the 4.5 and the 7.5, I'm up to what? I think I can do the math. 12 inches. I got a 12-inch barrel now. Okay, I'm going to air this back up, unloaded. Okay, hopefully I'm not going to lose too much more air doing this. Let's try it, and hopefully it ain't going to dry fire. All right, that time did not dry fire, which is good. Which, by the way, I think that was just maybe a one-off. This time, everything's nice and quiet, so I'm not losing any more air. I have about 1500 psi. I'm going to take 2 shots, and then I'm going to turn the then I'm going to reinstall the Reaper on top of this barrel extension. Okay, so we're going to take 2 more shots because I want to see the difference between the 12-inch barrel with and without the Reaper. All right, so I got 4 rounds in this mag. Turn the laser back on. All right, 10 gram ammo, 12-inch barrel, no Reaper on it. Shot 1. 442.7 feet per second. Shot 2. 439.7 feet per second. De-air it to make it safe. Make sure I don't have any stored up air in here. I don't. All right. Should have 2 more rounds left in here. And I do. Okay. All right. Let me put the Reaper on. Now I'm going to add to the 12-inch barrel, I'm going to add the 6-inch long Reaper suppressor by MCS. And we'll see what increase we get with that. 12-inch barrel, 6-inch Reaper. Let me air it up, unloaded. I have about 1,000 psi left, so this may not be the best test for power here. This is a small tank, but we'll try it anyways. Air it up. Okay, sounds good. No leaks, thankfully, because all I got is 1,000 psi. So I'm just going to shoot it until I run out of air. The first 2 shots should be at 1,000 psi. After that, I'm sure it's going to start diminishing. So we got 2 in here. I'll shoot those, and then if we still have air left, which we probably will, I'll load in mag 2. All right, 12-inch barrel, 6-inch Reaper suppressor, 10 gram ammo, and 1,000 psi. Okay. Shot 1. 413.5 feet per second. Shot 2. 394.1 feet per second. All right, I'm just going to stop there because it's already diminishing. What I really need to do next is the next test is pump this 1,000 psi 9 CI tank, pump it back up the capacity, and then run another test with just the barrel, 12-inch barrel, and the Reaper. That would be more accurate than me continuing to try to shoot until the tank's dry. So I will do that next. That'll be on another video. So is what that will be on. But no auto fire, which was one of the other things I really wanted to check for. And yeah, just dropped my disc. All right, so that was a pretty good test, other than I scared the heck out of myself and got my ears ringing with that dry fire, that random dry fire that I had, which not terribly thrilled about that. Not at all. But it's good to know that I still don't have the auto fire even after opening up those holes in that disc a little bit bigger. So, and I also had to drill out a larger hole in the middle just so that it would fit around that little nipple that comes out for the pin valves. So I had to do that, and then So it seems to be adding enough restriction. Now, the reason why I did this, I mean, the tank extender was working fine. It was serving the purpose of adding restriction, but it was making everything about that, you know, an inch, inch and a half longer than it needed to be. By putting this, in with some holes drilled out, it's definitely shrunk down the length of this that the stock would be essentially. So, and it seems to be doing the trick. So I'm not going to complain about that when it's doing the trick. All right, so that's all with today's test. That's it. All I can do really is drive home is safety, guys, safety. Unless you have to air up a marker with ammo in it, like in the case of, you know, self-defense or something. I mean, naturally, you know, you got to do it that way. But when you're plinking around and just having fun, just putting up numbers, take this, you know, take the precaution, you know, take the precaution and air up your markers unloaded. This is another case of with these slide checks where you never know what's going to happen. So thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day. Peace out.